Lauren Ballman.
Strengthen the sinking hands and make firm the feeble knees. Say to those who are fearful-hearted, be strong and do not fear. Behold, your God will come with a vengeance, with the recompense of God. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then the lame shall leap like a deer, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For water shall burst forth in the wilderness, and streams in the desert.
Brent Bourgeois.
This project has had a great impact on me personally. It had from the very beginning. It is such an emotional experience to listen to it. It was an emotional experience to go through it. My daughter, Delaney, has special needs. The third orchestral suite is named after her, and it is still to this day a hard thing to listen to without kind of tearing up. It's hard to go through something like this without thinking a lot about healing and thinking about things God has to say about healing. I've never been involved in a project that affected me as viscerally as this one did.
Michelle Tumes.
Brent Bourgeois and Lauren Ballman were talking to me, and I was really intrigued when Lauren was talking about having an album that focused on healing and restoration, and how when we're hurting and when we're desperate that God can come in and really, really elevate us up, our spirits up to Him.
Welcome to Streams, the soundtrack of Hope Special. I'm Jon Rivers, along with Lauren Ballman, whose involvement includes things like, well, you've heard of our hymns, our Christmas, My Utmost for His Highest. In his spare time, he serves as president of Word Entertainment Label Group. So welcome, my good friend Lauren Ballman.
Hi, John. I'd forgotten I'd been around that long.
Well, it hasn't been that long.
Yeah, it's been that long.
Long enough to do some wonderful production, though, I must say.
Thank you.
And you've done it again. This big project is called Streams, kind of loosely based on a book that was revised by James Ryman, a gentleman who revised My Utmost for His Highest. It seemed like you've been planning this project for a while. It's kind of a sequel, maybe, since you released Utmost?
You know, interestingly enough, after the Utmost experience of My Utmost for His Highest, it was a tremendously rewarding project to be involved in. I think probably more important to me than everything else was how the process touched me. And I say the process, but I think it was really getting acquainted with God in a different level for me. And it kind of surprised me because my intent was, I want to create love songs to the Creator, an intimate praise and worship experience. And actually, my relationship with God changed immensely in the process. So I think that's the thing I was most thankful for. However, it is a process that is generally, at least for me, so emotionally intense that my first tendencies are to go into avoidance and promise myself never, ever to do another project that would require that kind of depth of emotion and honesty. So when I got the call, Jim Ryman called me and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm doing an updated version of Streams in the Desert." And I was like, "Hey, that's great. Knock yourself out." And he said, "And I wanted to call you. That the people that have that book, they've talked to another record company, and I just didn't want you to feel bad about the fact that I'd like for you to work on it, but it's going to be at another company." And I was like, "Oh, well, I really appreciate your concern on that, Jim," and hung up the phone and just, wiped my forehead and went, "Whew, wow, man, that's great. Somebody else can take a swing at this project. I'm clean." And as it turned out, he called me back, 6 or 7 weeks later and said, "Well, you know what? It doesn't look like that company's going to be doing it. So, hey, you can do it. You're freed up. You can do this." And I said, "Nah." I started making a bunch of excuses. I was like, "I really got too much work. I got too much in front of me right now, too many other responsibilities." Every Monday as a company, we get together for a staff meeting. And not only is it a staff meeting, but it's a prayer meeting. And, the requests are generally fast and furious, coming from people's needs. And sometimes it's themselves, and sometimes it's their parents, sometimes it's their children, sometimes it's their neighbor, sometimes it's an artist. It comes from everywhere. And for me and my personality, I got to the place that I'd go to those Monday morning meetings and just be kind of cringing on the inside. I did it with all reluctance. Not because I don't like prayer meetings. It's just when you're in a family of people and you see how much ache and how much hurt and how this world has worn down people so consistently, and it's in front of you, it hurts. So we had just finished off a morning. It was a little bit more excruciating than I was hoping for. I walked back up into my office, and just as I was walking in, the phone rang, and it was Jim Ryman, and he said, "Lauren, okay, how about it? Would you do this record, Streams?" And the little hair that I have on the back of my neck stood up, and I had that sense like, okay. I said, "Jim, tell me where that Streams in the Desert sounds like it's, I think if I recall, that's an Old Testament scripture." And he goes, "Yeah, it is." I said, "Well, where is it?" And he tells me it's Isaiah 35:3-6. And I go, "Jim, let me read it, and then I'll call you back in just a few minutes." So I hung up the phone, reached up, picked up a King James version. And in King James, it basically says, "Strengthen the sinking hands and make firm the feeble knees. Say to those who are fearful-hearted, be strong and do not fear. Behold, your God will come with a vengeance, with the recompense of God. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then the lame shall leap like a deer, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For water shall burst forth in the wilderness, and streams in the desert." And when I read that, it was the final hook. I was like, wow, that's interesting. Here's the promise of the Messiah. And I'm no theologian, but I kind of went back and dug a couple reference books. Here's the promise of the Messiah, so closely connected to the restoration and the healing of human beings. And I, picked up the phone. I said, "This is something I really have to do." And that began the process. I thought that the record needed to be opened in a manner that was not glib, that met people where they are. When there have been tragedies and losses in my life, I appreciate it when people come up and they go, "Hey, it's gonna be okay." Or the friends that try to fix things, and it's like, well, this is in God's hands. And, I do know that. But them saying that back to me doesn't help enough. I think you kind of, when you're in that deep pain, you push them away because you're going, "You don't understand how bad this pain is. You don't know enough about this." And the most healing aspects of it is when your best friend comes in and they say nothing at all. And they go, "How's it going?" And you tell them it's really going crummy. And they sit with you, and if they hold on to you, and they cry with you, and they don't give you the glibness. And in a way, I think, at least for me, that's probably a more witness to the comforter working through a friend than somebody giving you the 10 answers about, well, you know what, you're going to go through anger and then fear and then this or whatever, and you'll be fine in a few weeks or a few months, or this too shall pass. In a way, that's what Job accomplishes. For those times when you are pretty much beat down and worn out, it's not a song of answers. It's a song of being there and reminding us, like the record does in many occasions, that there is a God that is sovereign, and he's very much aware. And when I was on the phone with Cindy, we talked about that idea that God was just going, I know. Just that simple. I know.
Were you when my night fell and pieces shattered everywhere? If I had loved you with my whole heart, time will tell. Time will tell. Were the stars moving across the ocean? Did the world turn away for just a glance and leave me here in these ashes? I will weep, I will dance, 'cause all I have is yours. All these ashes and these sores, all that I am living for, I will follow you to shore. Well, I hear your voice and it sounds angry. I have questioned you time and again, so I'll be here in the silence till I can walk. I will stand.
Cindy Morgan and Job from the album Streams. This is Streams, the Soundtrack of Hope special. I'm Jon Rivers. Cindy would have a hand in writing several songs on this project, including the song she co-wrote with producer Brent Bourgeois, a song that would be recorded by Australian Michelle Tumes.
It was great to express what Brent and Cindy wrote, and I really thought about my grandma, my grandpa when I sang this song, because my grandma has Alzheimer's disease and my papa is 87 years old and he looks after her, he cooks for her, he cleans for her so she doesn't have to be in a home. So in essence, my papa is holding on to God's strength while my nana is holding on to him. And the song says, hold on to me while I hold on to my father's hand. And it hits the chord in me because it's close to me and it's close to my family.
You're a ticking clock in a timeless land, holding on too long without any hands, and the stars are falling down around you now. In the rain, there are wonders left to touch, so you're reaching hold on to me while I hold on to my father's hand. Hold on to me, healing to make you real. I am what I am, time bringing you to my father's hand. So the flowers grow and bloom in the desert sand, and the crystal tears they fall and flower in a barren land, till you feel the sunlight shining on your skin, and all that once was lost in you
coming up next on Streams, the Soundtrack of Hope special.
Then I was worried that For Him wouldn't want to be on the song because the chorus had kind of been taken by someone else. But when I went and asked them about it, it turned out that they were big John Anderson and Yes fans from a long time ago. And they were thrilled, especially Andy, to be on the song with him. And it just worked out great.
Welcome back to Streams, the Soundtrack of Hope special. I'm Jon Rivers, and we're glad you're here. We have many special guests, the president of the Word Records label group, Lauren Ballman, many of the artists, of course, and the producer of the project, and the writer of our next song, Brent Bourgeois. This has to be one of the best songs of all time, and certainly from this incredibly wonderful album. The Only Thing I Need. Brent talks about when and where the song came about and about how it was produced.
I wrote The Only Thing I Need in Estes Park, Colorado, when I was there for the Christian Arts Seminar. I had originally envisioned Andy Chrisman's voice from For Him singing that chorus, and we had kind of proceeded down that road. And we were in the studio recording the song, which really was the easiest song to record on the record because the musicians that were playing on the record all were from an era where that music was all their favorites. So it was a really easy, free-flowing session. And while we were there, John Anderson from Yes was in another room recording another project. And he was there the whole time we were there. And I got to know him pretty well. And this chorus in this song really began to sound like him. We all kind of screwed up our courage and kind of went in like a high school kid and went, you think you might be able to try this chorus? And not really thinking that we would use it. We just wanted to hear him do it. And he came in and did it, and it was so perfect that we knew we had to use it. And then I was worried that For Him wouldn't want to be on the song because the chorus had kind of been taken by someone else. But when I went and asked them about it, it turned out that they were big John Anderson and Yes fans from a long time ago. And they were thrilled, especially Andy, to be on the song with him. And it just worked out great. It's actually the song that's the most fully realized on the record for me.
For Him and The Only Thing I Need. On Streams, the Soundtrack of Hope special, as we talk about the wonderful collection we call Streams. The executive producer was Lauren Ballman. He's also president of the Word record label group, and gives us some insight into how another great song got on this album, from Sixpence None The Richer.
We brought this song called Breathe to Matt and Lee of Sixpence. And Lee ended up being a co-writer along with John Mallory and Michelle Tumes. Again, boy, their schedule, because of the Kiss Me explosion, we flew them in right after they had done their video for Kiss Me. And they came in and should have been exhausted, but immediately got into the studio and gave us a quite remarkable performance. Breathe is one of those constant reminders of God's presence. And, you know, if you don't mind, I'd like to read just a brief aspect of the song.
Because you have to be wondering now, breathe, what could that be
How
about?
could that be that? It says, take my sorrow and my sin. I will run into your arms again. Hold me, Father. Once again, my tears are dried by your perfect love that's river wide, overflowing. As I stand on its bank with my arms overhead, I am overcome. As I breathe the air of heaven, drawing in your fragrance, when I breathe, I feel your fullness come alive inside of me. You're the breath that I breathe.
Yet to come, on Streams, the Soundtrack of Hope special. Maire Brennan, Michael McDonald, and Jaci Valesquez. Welcome back to Streams, the Soundtrack of Hope special. I'm Jon Rivers, here with Lauren Ballman, my friend, president of Word Records label group. I have to have a little more information on this amazing lady from Ireland, Maire Brennan, who's kind of the first lady of Celtic music around the world, I take it.
Yes, she is stunning. There is a certain angelic quality to her voice that anybody who's ever heard her goes, wow, that is really an amazing human voice. It has a timbre to it and a warmth and that angelic likeness that I've never heard anyone ever do before. And she's world renowned. I think probably a good portion of the listeners may be aware in the United States of Clannad, which is the group that she was the lead vocalist with, and it's her family actually that she's sung with for more than 20 years. Clannad on a worldwide basis has sold more than 22 million records, which is, it's phenomenal.
Amazing.
And she's the backbone of the group. In any case, Brent and I, again, in our discussions of artists, we said, boy, we would love to have Maire Brennan be a part of this. And we called her and asked her, and she, like many of the artists did, as soon as we explained what the project was about and what we were trying to accomplish, she immediately agreed to it. And Brent and I were talking about songs, and he said to me one morning, what about Don't Give Up? Don't you think that'd be a really good song? And I was like, oh man, that'd be a fabulous song. We got to do that. And we were both a little conscientious of the fact that it was written by Peter Gabriel, and when he wrote it, he sang it with Kate Bush, and in the manner that he wrote it in, which was a huge hit on its own some time back. Kate, when she sings to him, she represents the family, saying, holding on to a husband and saying, it's okay, you still have us as a family. But for Brent and my ears and for our purposes, we got that young, ill-conceived idea of going, really, what we really need to do here is flop that around. We want Maire to represent humanity, and this other artist that we get, we want it to be in God's voice. So that required lyric changes. And, Brent and I look at each other and we're like, yeah, right. Who's going to call Peter Gabriel and go, hey, I think we should change the lyrics on this. That song you did was pretty good, but I'm not sure, we're kind of looking at it from a different perspective, and we'd like to change the lyrics. So we thought, well, hey, if you don't ask, you won't get it. So Maire happened to be a good friend of Peter Gabriel's.
Oh.
So she gave us the contact and the entree, and I sent a letter to Peter. And when he received it, within 24 hours of when he received our letter, he said, I get what you're doing. I'm fine with this. You can make those changes. And when I got the fax back from them, I just sat in my office and I laughed. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I told Brent, and we were like, oh, here we go. So then the next question was, who should sing with her? And Brent's son plays soccer, and one of the other soccer fathers on the same team is Michael McDonald. And so he just, was asking one of the other dads on the soccer team, would you be a part of this with Maire Brennan? And Michael immediately said yes. There had been some struggles that Michael shared with us, and his understanding of God's presence in his life, where he felt like, this is something I want to speak to.
Maire Brennan.
When it was suggested for me to sing Don't Give Up on the Streams album, I was delighted, first of all, because Don't Give Up is such a great song. When they suggested for me to sing it, and to sing it with such a great singer as Michael McDonald, I was so thrilled, because I'm a big fan. And also, to reverse the roles in this song, I thought, what a great idea. When we went about recording, it was such a wonderful time. It was a wonderful time doing it. It was a wonderful time sharing with the people that were doing it. I thoroughly enjoyed every second of it, and it's a great song of hope and courage that people, when they hear the song, will find and feel the same way as I do.
I Will Rest in You, I think, was another essential aspect to the project. Sometimes when you're in the heat of the struggle, there's so much anguish or sometimes we do it to ourselves. We get stressed and we just keep going. We just keep running. And we forget one of the major elements of what God's asked us to do, and that's to rest, to take the time to protect ourselves, to restore ourselves, to block off the stresses of the normal day and rest.
Lord, I'm in the dark. Seems to me the line is dead when I come calling, knowing that the sky is falling. Lord, I need to know. My mind is playing games again. You're right where you have always been. Take me back to you, the place that I once knew. As a little child, constantly the eyes of God watched over me. Oh, I want to be in the place that I once knew. As a little child, fall into the bed of faith prepared for me. I will rest in you. I will rest in you. I will rest in you. Tell me I'm a fool. Tell me that you love me for the fool I am. And comfort me like only you can. And tell me there's a place where I can feel your breath like sweet caresses on my face again. Take me back to you, the place that I once knew. As a little child, constantly the eyes of God watched over me. Oh, I want to be in the place that I once knew. As a little child, fall into the bed of faith prepared for me. I will rest in you. 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 La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 Take me back to you, the place that I once knew. As a little child, constantly the eyes of God watched over me. Oh, I want to be in the place that I once knew. As a little child, fall into the bed of faith prepared for me. I will rest in you. 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 So I can rest in you. I will rest in you.
You've been listening to Streams, the Soundtrack of Hope special. Our executive producer was Linda Klosterman, creative consultant Brad Burkhart. It was produced at River Riders Ranch in Forestburg, Texas. I'm Jon Rivers. Thank you for listening.